Now, why would people want to have a network? It's because when or if you're inside a network, it gives you a lot of advantages. Let's say, for example, you have a personal area network. Imagine personal area network again. You have your phone and then your computer, right, where you Bluetooth, right, and then your printer. Now, in this particular case, right, you can connect really easily. That is one advantage, right? Other than that, let's say, for example, in your personal area network, you actually invite other people. Let's say you tell your sister, and you tell your brother, and you tell your parents that they can actually use, they can Bluetooth things to your computer if they want to print it, for example, right? Now, instead of everyone in your family having to buy a printer, you can just have one printer and one computer, and everyone can actually use the resources, right? So when or if you have a network, you can share resources, right? You can share hardware. You don't have to buy that many hardware, right? Other than that, what are advantages of networking? You can, for example, if say your computer is connected to the internet, or rather you have internet connection, you can share internet connection if everyone else inside your family or inside your home is connected in a network, right? Basically, this happens. If you see this diagram again, these are people inside a local area network, local communications, right? If and when you have one internet connection, then you have a choice of whether or not everyone inside your local area network can share that internet connection, right? So lots of things. Basically, the advantage of using a network is on sharing, right? So you can share lots of things. You can share printers, hardware, right? You can share internet connection, right? It's easy for you to communicate, right? Data exchange. Right? What other things? When you have data exchange, there are lots of advantages from data exchange. You can save time. You don't have to physically meet. It's easy to collaborate. There's so many advantages to networking. Then again, there are also disadvantages to networking. For example, when you're on a network, we say you will lose what we call, there will be a loss of autonomy. Right? What is autonomy? When or if you're in your personal space, you can do whatever you want. But inside a public domain, there are certain things that you might not be able to do. You're not allowed to do. When you're in a network, basically, you're in public domain, right? Meaning your computer is part of a public system for computers. So there are certain things that you might not be able to do. For example, let's say you always use the internet to download movies, right? At home, for example. In the office, where the internet connection is shared with everyone, you might not be allowed to do that, to use the internet connection to download movies, because you'll be taking a lot of space, a lot of bandwidth, and everyone will have slow internet connection speed, right? So you lose autonomy. Other than that, loss of privacy. You know that when or if you're in a network, other people might be able to see what you're doing, right? Other people might be able to, for example, again in the office, right? You download movies. Your network administrator will know that someone is downloading movies, which is why our internet connection is slow, right? Your network administrator can then see who's actually doing that, right? And then tell you you shouldn't be doing this, right? Actually, the act of downloading movies is actually private, but in a public domain, in a network, you lose that privacy, right? And then there's a loss of productivity. Right? When in a public domain, imagine you're in the computer lab and I tell you to do Excel and do Word and whatever, and you just refuse to do it because you're playing Tetris, you're surfing 9gag, you're stalking your friends on Facebook, you're watching videos on YouTube, right? These are all examples of loss of productivity. Instead of doing productive work, you're doing something else. Stop doing that and do your assignment on Word.